Please take a second to subscribe, then like and share afterwards. We can really use your support. Thank you. For Satan transforms himself into an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14. The enemy's ultimate aim is to become like the Most High, as God, that he might dethrone him. It is why we see him mimicking all that God does, in his own distorted way. Now that we've reached episode 5, we are ready to begin putting the puzzle pieces together. As we saw in previous episodes, the enemy wars against God's purposes, specifically for his chosen people, because remember, it is through this mystery people that God brings salvation to the world. So, he sees the Jewish people and their return to the world stage as a threat, in which he seeks to eliminate. And to accomplish this task, to destroy Israel, he will need a vessel. As Israel not only returned to the world, but also resurrected into it. So the enemy would seek to nullify that miracle by using the same means, a resurrection. Just as God brings forth a work into the world, the enemy seeks to bring forth an alternate work, a false work, an anti-work, for the sole purpose of destroying the works of God. This means that the enemy would also take an ancient nation in which he used in ancient times to war against God's people and bring it back to the center stage for the modern world. As God took a nation that was long dead and raised it from its grave, the dragon would do the same. God's nation would take on the ancient name in its return to the modern world, and so too, the enemy would take on the ancient name of its predecessors. And remember, it is not about the people themselves. It is about the force and agenda that are using them. Also remember that the love of God reaches out to each and all without partiality, because no one individual the enemy uses is even aware about what is at play. They are oblivious to the enemy's hand. So, what nation or people would the enemy resurrect? They are an ancient flesh and blood enemy, enraged by the dragon, and it all starts in the waters of the Aegean Sea, known as the Sea Peoples. Of all the enemies faced by Israel in ancient times, the one most deserving of the title archenemy was those called the Philistines. They continually warred with the people of Israel over the ages. They mutilated Israel's hero Samson. They battled against Saul's army, stood against King David, and on they went against subsequent kings century after century. But who were they? In their first appearance in ancient inscriptions, they are listed as one of those known as the Sea Peoples. Genetic tests and demographic study reveal they originated in the Mediterranean and around the Aegean, particularly to ancient Minoan or Mycenaean or Proto-Greek civilization. Egyptian inscriptions tell us these sea peoples who had invaded the land were called the Pulasti or the Peleset. In Hebrew, they are the Pilishtim, the plural of the Pilishtai. It is from this came the Greek word Philistinoi, in turn where the Latin derives the name Philistinus, where the English name Philistine draws. The earliest archaeological record for both names of Israel and Philistine come from ancient Egypt. The Merneptah Stele from 1200 BC mentions Israel by name in the land of Canaan. And in King Ramesses III's mortuary temple, Madinat Habu, the Philistines appear also as Egypt's enemies, and the timing of each arrive at the same time, first Israel, then Palestine. The Pilishtim occupied the portion of the land of Canaan bordering Egypt and the Mediterranean. it became known as Philistia. Though it was part of the land promised by God to Israel, they never fully gained any lasting possession of the region. But at the time of Israel's first exile, the Babylonians destroyed the cities of Philistia, and they would vanish from the records of history. But as we mentioned in a previous episode, after the Bar Kokhba revolt in 135 AD, the Romans renamed the entire land Palestina, simply to rub salt into the wound of the Jewish people. So for the next 2,000 years, the land would be called Palestine, which is why most think this land always belonged to the Palestinians, but it had nothing to do with the Arabs being there. It was because of Roman vengeance to nullify and erase Israel from its historical ties. So then, who would become the vessels as Palestinians? Although they were originally sea people from ancient Greece, the word Palestinian began appearing in the Arabic language, ushering in its modern usage. It was originally used to describe any inhabitant in that land, including Jews. But as time passed, it was increasingly employed to connect to the non-Jewish inhabitants, namely Arabs, who were now moving into the area to oppose the incoming Jews. No Arabs were interested in this desolate wasteland, as witnessed by Mark Twain, until Jews started to show up in droves. In the year of Israel's birth, in 1948, another name was born, called the All-Palestine Protectorate, the earliest manifestation of the English Palestine name. The enemy's mimicry. 1948 was the same year that the All-Palestine Council declared independence for full sovereignty over the land, all for the express purpose to destroy the newborn Jewish state. And so, this name would become the name the Arabs would call themselves, as defiance against the Jews. Even the word Palestinian in Arabic is closely resembling the original name for the ancient enemy. They call it Philistine, as in Philistine. Up next, we turn our focus to the establishment of the Palestine Liberation Army, or PLO, its militant hero Yasser Arafat, and its prophetic connection to evil that will absolutely shock you to the core. Here on Secrecies Uncovered.